this, and where are you calling from? You got through.
Excellent. It's ghost stories tonight, and I'm not sure my story is really about ghosts or if it was a demon or some sort of sorcery or something like that. But I was living at the time in British Columbia, Canada.
Actually, before we go any farther, what's your first name?
Oh, Jason.
Jason. Okay. Luckily for you, it's open line, so you can talk about anything you want. But where are you living right now?
I live in Ohio now.
Ohio. Man, you're calling late.
Yes, very late.
All right. Tell me your story.
So I was living in British Columbia, and it was in November. It was very cold outside, but I remember I wanted to smoke. I love smoking. And so I went on a walk with a cigar. And as I was walking, I just kind of got lost in time and space and walked further than I'd ever really gone before in this neighborhood. And I turned around a corner, and I saw a lawn, somebody's lawn. Their entire lawn, from the street to the house, was just burst into flames and completely on fire. And so I reached for my cell phone, not even thinking paranormal or anything like that, and I tried to call 911. There was no signal. And so I looked around the neighborhood at the other houses in the area, and everything was dark. There was nobody, no signs of life.
So when you saw this lawn on fire, it wasn't like there were people running around screaming or fire trucks. It was
everything was dead. Everything was quiet. There was nobody around. Just this lawn bursting into flames. And so I ran. I turned in the other direction, and I took off running, Bryan. And I ran, and about 2 blocks further down, I saw in the distance what appeared to me to be men in cloaks or capes or some sort of old styled attire. And so I figured they were members of the Ku Klux Klan or Satan worshippers or something like that. So there was a bush nearby, and I leapt into it, and I hid in this bush. And these men in the capes or cloaks were walking towards me, and I was watching them. And they came up to where the bush was, but they were on the other side of the road, but right where the bush was, they all stopped. And they stopped moving there, and they stood there. And I was trying to be very, very quiet. All the houses around were just completely dark, and there was just no movement other than these men in these cloaks. And they stood there for a few minutes, and then the cloaks just dropped to the ground, as though the people that were in them just ceased to exist. And so I thought to myself, maybe they went into a manhole in the road,
sure,
or something, like that. But I had to see for myself, and so I left the bush, and I walked towards these cloaks on the ground, and thinking there was a sewer grate or anything that I could see, but the cloaks were there, and there was nothing else. But then I saw liquid. It looked black in the moonlight, but I could tell it was blood, and it was a lot of blood. Blood of, if it was human blood, it had to have been 10 people or something. Just a sea of blood underneath these cloaks. And I crouched down, and I reached forward to touch the cloaks because I wanted to see what this cloak was made of. I don't know. I was just so puzzled and scared and intrigued by this whole thing. But I could tell that there was nobody there. So I felt safe to reach forward to this cloak. And as I reached forward to the cloak, a hand grabbed my arm.
A hand?
A hand. And, so this is why I don't think it was a ghost, because, ghosts, typically in how we think of them, don't have physical attributes, but this was a very, very strong hand attached to an arm coming from the cloak, grabbed my arm, and pulled me forward towards the cloak. And as I was moving forward, all I just remember was my entire body just full of pain. And before my face or body came to the cloak, it all went away. Everything was gone, and that's my last recollection of that night. I was teaching at a high school at that time. I didn't attend any of my classes that day. The next day, nobody saw me or heard from me, and I did not wake up until the very next day. I think it was a Wednesday when it happened. The Thursday, I was gone. Where, I don't know. I woke up Friday morning in a ditch. My pants that I was wearing that night were still on in the way that I was wearing them that night. But every other piece of clothing I was wearing, my sweater, my undershirt, my socks, my undergarment, were inside out.
That's a strange detail. So
Yeah,
your shirt,
everything was inside out.
Your shirt was inside out. Like, were your shoes inside out?
No, my shoes were still the same.
Opposite feet.
Socks, the sweater, undershirt, boxer shorts. Everything else was inside out.
That's a hell of a story.
And I was in the ditch, and I was freezing, and I just lost an entire 36 hours of my life.
Now, did you go back to where the grass was on fire? Never went back? Never,
and I never will. I moved out of the city as soon as the semester was over.
Did you? Was there anybody that asked, where the hell is Jason?
Yes, I mean the school was very, very worried. They had filed a report with the police, but nobody has been able to explain it. And I mean, I was embarrassed, and I didn't really give the full story.
I was going to say, what did you tell them when they said, "Where the hell were you"?
I said I was very, very ill.
Well, that's a good answer.
Well, I mean, I'm not going to tell them that I was abducted by men in cloaks.
Now, where in Vancouver was this, just out of curiosity?
It wasn't in Vancouver. It was a smaller city in British Columbia.
I see, but we don't want to give the name here.
No.
Well, Jason, I want to thank you very much for the call. That is that was a hell of a way to start off the return of After Dark right there. That was I guess a phantom fire, ghosts, demons, and as noted, other issues. His clothing was apparently removed and put on inside out and backwards.